Today, the end is just the beginning. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Well, this is a very special post today, and it's one I hoped I'd never have to make, but it is appropriate today. Unfortunately, Gill died overnight. And those of you who have been following the community here will know that she's been battling with mesothelioma, which is an asbestos-related disease, for the last few years, and in recent months has been going downhill quite fast. But rather than focusing on her own demise, she spent the last 3 years researching asbestos, writing papers, founding a charity called Asbestos Awareness Australia, and essentially galvanising the action to heighten people's awareness of this deadly substance that is in 1/3 of Australian homes, as well as businesses and commercial properties, and it's also in schools as well. And the tricky thing about this is that you can be exposed once, but you won't know until a long time later. And unfortunately, the truth is, and her research showed, that whilst the politicians and government agencies and the industry knows the risks, unfortunately the general public don't. The truth about mesothelioma is that around 800 people die each year in Australia. Overall, around 4,000 die from asbestos-related diseases, but mesothelioma is probably the worst of them, and the survival rate is 6.5% over 5 years once diagnosed. Now, in Gill's case, she worked on DIY projects here in Australia and overseas for many years. She loved doing it, but clearly didn't take sufficient precautions. As a result, she got a tickle a few years ago. Nobody really bothered about it. And then more recently, she had the serious disease. And I want to just do two things today. Firstly, pay my respects to Gill. She was an amazing woman, an amazing wife, very driven, very focused. But secondly, I just want to acknowledge the amazing community response that we've had over the last week or two, because we've been able to get the media to start talking about asbestos. And a shout out there to the ABC and the Drum, and also the Australian Financial Review, and the Daily Mail as well. And Channel 9 will be putting something out very soon. Gill was able to participate in those particular programs by being interviewed. And remarkably, although she'd been very unwell for about a week and a half, I read her the Australian Financial Review report the other day, and that brought her back such that she was able to give more interviews the next 2 days because she cared so deeply about this issue. So a shout out to David Taylor at the ABC, Duncan Hughes at the AFR, and other journalists too who've picked up the story and run with it. And there's more to tell. But the other thing I want to just do and to celebrate is the thousands of messages I've received through my various social media channels and direct from people all around the world who send their condolences. Thank you for that, it really is appreciated, but also recognise the power of Gill's message. And to keep her legacy alive, we are continuing the Asbestos Awareness Australia initiative. It's a charity. It's actually running a new website now, which we've just put up, and we'll be announcing a whole bunch of new initiatives over the next few months to continue to raise awareness here and hopefully overseas, and perhaps call those bigger companies to account, as well as government agencies and departments who know what's going on but don't want to tell anybody about it. And you'll hear more, therefore, about Asbestos Awareness Australia, because this is indeed Gill's legacy. But for now, I just want to say thanks again for all your support, all your messages, and we will continue to talk about the issues that Gill was so passionate about, amongst our other issues that we feel passionate about too, because in a way it's all part of a bigger story about the way that corporations are ruling the roost, the way that governments aren't necessarily looking out for the people who live in the countries that they ostensibly are meant to be responsible for, and the fact that so many people seem to be ending up with the damp end of the stick. But my final thought is this: have no doubt, asbestos is a killer. Asbestos is in 1/3 of homes across Australia, and it can be in all sorts of places. It can lurk in various forms as well as in dust, and you only need to be exposed once to ultimately succumb to an absolutely deadly disease. And having heard Gill over the last 2 days fighting for breath, every breath, and losing that battle, I wish that no other person would ever die from mesothelioma. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. We'll see you next time.